Well, it's that time again. We are back for season 5. Interestingly enough, we are broadcasting at 5 Pacific time. I thought about that as I was scheduling this with my guests, and this is going to be a very exciting topic. I may be doing this once again. Sometimes I bring people on for my own personal reasons, and you guys get to enjoy it or receive some benefits, but we can learn from everything and all things around us. With that being said, I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you to my family and friends who've been supporting the show, supporting my wild ideas. Really appreciate you, and welcome to our new and returning radio podcast listeners. Remember, this show is repurposed and replayed on radio podcasts everywhere, including Spotify, Google Play, Anchor, FM, iTunes, Stitcher Breaker, Castbox, on and on and on. In summary, what does that mean? We are where you are. And if you're listening to a radio platform where you don't see Ready, Set, Real Estate available, make sure you let us know so we can get our show uploaded there. Remember, this show broadcasts Wednesdays on demand. We do live features on Facebook at LA Super Agent. All right, all right, all right, all right. Y'all gonna learn today. Let me introduce my guest. I have Kevin Dolby. Listen, ATL is in the building. I have an affinity to ATL. You know why? Because ATL has been one of the early states and communities that supported my wild ideas when I decided to trailblaze a movement to teach children real estate. So I really want to just continue to shout out ATL and give you guys some love, because you definitely show love to Super Agent. With that being said, Kevin Tyraine Dolby L is a real estate agent with the ability to meet the unique needs of his clients. With over 14 years of experience in real estate, starting with the legal side, and I'm going to say that for the people in the back, the legal side. Gosh, that's an advantage in itself when you have a professional that has a legal background when involved in real estate. And he says, with the legal side and up to selling and buying, his experience gives him a unique sense of understanding of the whole real estate process. And with that unique understanding of time, he is able to capitalize off the best time for his clients to buy or sell. I'm going to say this here, quoting him, time is money, and Kevin understands that if he can save you time, he will ultimately save you money. Kevin, Mr. Dolby, Brother Dolby, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you, thank you. Peace, peace, sister. Happy to be here. Happy to be here. Truly blessed. I want to thank you first and foremost for allowing me on your platform. I think it's a great platform for people to learn about the real estate business, the ins and outs, and get different perspectives on real estate. I'm here in Atlanta, stated, and it's booming right now. Atlanta's a hot market. Everyone's moving here. Celebrities, it's become number one for movies now. So there's a lot of Airbnb opportunities, a lot of investment opportunities, but we'll get into some of that as the show.
Yeah, I was going to say, you already, you're giving a lot of game already, telling people where to buy, where to invest.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So it's so funny because I shared this. I did like a mini preview, and I said, I've actually, I think if I go back to our emails, has it been 2 years almost? It feels like
Mm-hmm.
that is mind boggling to me when we first connected. And, as we talk about timing, perhaps clearly it wasn't time yet for you to be on and for us to go to this level.
Right. Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely. We were
I
supposed to do this before, and it didn't work out. So, like you said, timing is everything.
It didn't work out, and now you are opening us up on in our season 5, which means we are on episode 104. When you single digit that again,
Mm, five.
5. We started at 5 Pacific time. You said 8 o'clock Eastern. I said 5. So I'm like 5. I didn't really notice that until literally just now when I said it.
Mm. Well, you know, five is an interesting number. It does represent travel, change, and communication. So, being that we're you know, real estate is really all about communication. So, I think five is really a sign that says that now it's a time to communicate your message to the rest of the world.
Mm. I'm so excited. I'm telling you.
Absolutely.
I'm so excited because I've been feeling incredible. That's the words I've been using. And I share this offline, and I'm going to bring up Cindy is my actually past client and now dear friend, like family friend, and all of the above. And one of the things that let me make sure I'm showing my comments here. I want to make sure I do our band. I'll get to that. I wanted to at least share this story that Cindy and I experienced when she was purchasing her home. We walked into a property, and I felt it, and she said it.
Mm.
I felt an energy that said no. I mean, looking at the address, and it was within her price range. It was within a location. It was walking distance from the school. She had her daughter at the time. I don't think they didn't have. She was pregnant, and so I remember walking in, and I could feel that this was a no,
Mm.
not for them. Not listen, not that no, not this house, not for them.
Wow.
And we weren't in there more than 10 minutes when she spoke up and said, this energy of the house, she said, no, I have to get out. She said, we're not welcome.
Wow.
My client said, she said, we are not welcome.
That's
And
interesting.
when she said that, I said, yo, I felt that, but I didn't want to say anything.
Oh my goodness. Absolutely.
Share with us a little bit about that, just kind of that as an example, and really how we live and walk and breathe life, not realizing that, the universe is constantly communicating to us.
Yes, yes. Well, that's some call that your gut feeling or intuition. And, you know, like I like to say that's the higher source speaking to you.
Yeah.
There are types of a lot of times sometimes we try to turn a blind eye to certain signs, and later on we say, oh, I knew I shouldn't have did that, or I knew I should have did this. You have to listen, you know, to your intuition, to your gut feeling. Women are very perceptive, they're very observant, and a lot
Hmm.
they can feel things, and I mean, you have to go with that. And it's pretty amazing that you both felt it, which, you know, says a lot about the both of you. Both of you are probably naturally intuitive. You know, people use the word psychic and different things. That's just, you know, it's just, you know, some people are able to intuit things just simply by being around things and feel the energy. And
Right.
it's good that y'all picked up on that, because, you know, people pass away in homes. There are crimes that are committed in homes.
Mhm.
They've been all types of studies to show that things seem seem weird actually happen in these places after these events. Oh, energy is real. We know that it cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transferred. And so that energy is going to go somewhere. So you guys were just reading into the energy, and salutes to y'all for catching it.
Yeah, and you know what? Ever since then, I've been doing this a lot more, which I'm going to share my truth actually with even having you on the show for today in this segment has been um, doing more of me, right? if this I know is something that I incorporate in my life, this is how I move, this is how I'm on spot, this is how I negotiate, like this is me. And when people say how are you able to do all this? It's like you said, me being in tune. The more I found, the more I've acknowledged that, the more it's, what is it, Kevin? The
Yeah,
more
it's gonna open up. It's gonna open up because you can suppress these things. Children are born with all types of gifts, and it's so unfortunate that parents, and they don't mean it, but they suppress those children's gifts by saying, "Oh no, you don't believe that, or we don't believe this, or you don't do that." And they're fresh from the other side, so they can see things and intuit things that we just can't, and we can't really understand it. And over time, they're programmed to suppress those things, and some of them block it all the way out and never get it back.
yes. It's funny because I've connected with some people, so I tend to magnetize those people that watch me do it.
Hmm.
And I kind of know, like, I know who you are. I know you. And then they we've been able to walk through and work on bringing those gifts back. And you're absolutely right that we definitely walk around with these gifts, and because it may come off as not widely accepted, or really,
Hmm.
I would like to say widely appreciated,
Absolutely.
then we repress that and we suppress that. And one of the key things that I found is I just, you cannot get around numbers in real estate. I mean, from loans to money to equity,
Interest rates.
oh my, interest rates, all of this. And so
Everything.
so share with us just kind of what are some ways and some things that, in terms of saving your clients time and money, how are you incorporating this as part of your business?
Yes, absolutely. So, I always say men lie, women lie, numbers don't. And, numbers affect everything. And as we know, numbers have vibrational frequencies, and you can actually measure those frequencies and read into them, if you will. And so, I like to explain it like this. I'm actually teaching this to my daughter who's only 9. And so I explain it like this. I say, one, each number has a meaning, and this is how we do it. And when I say numbers have meanings, for my children, they got it quickly when I said, when you go to the bathroom, you do a number one. What does that mean something? Or number two? So they immediately got it like, yeah, one is not only quantitative, it's qualitative, meaning it has
Mm,
or that can be measured. So I always explain it like this. In the beginning, I used the Bible, for example, there was Adam. So one represents man. Then after Adam came Eve. So two represents woman. After man, woman, the next logical thing is they have a child. So three represents child. Have a child, they have to build shelter. So four represents build. After they build a shelter, they explore the area in which they live. So five represents freedom. After they explore the area, they get their family and their household in order. So six represents family. After they do that, they get in tune with God or their creator or their higher self, however you want to word it. So seven represents. After that, they get the money and the power. So eight represents power. And then the last, number nine, they give it all away. And nine represents compassion. And so those are the 9 numbers. It's only 9 numbers. Any number can be broken down to 1 through 9. And those are the generic term for, or the generic meaning, if you will, for each number 1 through 9. So I like to use that just as a base to kind of get an understanding what I'm looking at. But how I specifically help clients is when they call. For one, I help them with credit, and that deals with numbers as well. We all
right.
know that there's cycles that we go through, and even with credit, after a 7-year cycle, certain things can be removed from your credit report. So, just knowing that alone can make the difference of, 30 to 50 points on your credit score. Then I usually take my client's birthday and look at the physical cycle that they're going through. Is this a good time for you to buy a house? Let me see what you're going through, what cycle you're in. There, bar none. Every closing that I did, what I would do is at the closing, I would take the borrower's birthday and calculate it for that day just to see what the energy was like, and it always had something to do with real estate or wealth or getting some property or getting some. It was so relevant that it was like, okay, I'm a bit of a skeptic. I was anyway, and I stumbled on numerology, and I spent a couple of years trying to disprove it. I've
Mm.
2 books on numerology. So my introduction to numerology is different because I came in trying to disprove it, and I became an understander that this is an actual bona fide science. And I consistently try it out just to test it, and it hasn't failed me yet.
You know, you you have. Let me. People can't hear me. I was very quiet and I was very deliberate on being quiet because I had like little mind bombs in my head
Mm.
when you were explaining. That was the first time ever I heard the number relationship broken down that way. And let me say this, that was an answer to a request I made 3 days ago.
Wow, that's amazing. That's how the
Yeah.
universe works.
3 days ago, I put out a request of how do I easily can go boom, five is this, six is this, seven is this, eight is this, nine. How do I, because there's so much information out there, right?
Yes.
And so I'm like, how do I just really, and yo, you you just bless me, brother. I just thank you for that because that is exactly what my request was because I want to be able to just look at it because I was tested gifted as a child, but more interestingly, right? We don't do coincidences.
Right.
More interestingly, my generation actually was the first group of students that the school district, tested introducing geometry before high school.
Wow.
So what does
So,
that mean? That means that in eighth grade, I was the first generation that had geometry in eighth grade.
mm,
That means that algebra was introduced to my generation in sixth grade. At pre-algebra sixth grade, algebra seventh grade, geometry eighth grade. I was the only one in the entire school that got an A in geometry.
wow. Wow.
And I struggled and cried over algebra in sixth grade. But shapes and relationships was a no-brainer.
Wow. Wow.
Me and Pythagoras, that's
Yes.
my boy.
Absolutely.
Right? And Pythagoras, there's a quote that says, God speaks in numbers.
Yes. Yes.
And that's his
Absolutely.
quote. God speaks in numbers. And I'm sure various variations of that. And we know that, like you said, this is a science. It's been in existence since, I mean, everything. When you look at how pyramids were built, the precision, the
Hmm.
accuracy, the numbers, the alignment, the calculation, and people are like, there was no quote unquote universities as we know them today that was showing
Right.
you this level of calculation. So that then tells me it's in me.
Yes. Yes. You are the numbers. The numbers make you up. You can't, I mean, if you give your birth, that's your numbers. So there it is. That's your makeup right there. And if you want to get deep with astrology, you have a coordinates because in astrology they want to know the place you were born. Well, that's just based on coordinates, which are numbers.
Mm,
Months are numbers. January is 1, February is 2, as you know. So we're
right.
still dealing with numbers.
Wow. And here's the thing about it, tying it back to real estate.
Yes.
We know this, but let me share it for our listening audience. That thing called your property tax bill, there's a APN number. It's called your assessor's parcel number. What do you guys call it in ATL? It might be a different.
Yeah.
I've seen it pulled, but
MAP, map and part. Yeah.
right. So again, these are actually coordinates. What page in the book,
Hmm.
what section, and where on the map is this property located?
That's absolutely right.
Right. And then we deal with the length and the width, right, is how many feet is this property? And this is actually attached to your deed, folks, is a
That's right.
picture with a map with a bunch of numbers.
Can't escape it. You can't escape it. And what's so beautiful about this is the same logic that applies to a person as I can take your birth date and do your cycles and tell you what you have coming up. I can do that for anything with a birth date, including entities like businesses. So let's say you have a corporation. I can go to
Mhm.
the Secretary of State with your corporation, pull your filing date, and use that just like a birth date and tell you what your business cycle is. And I've done that successfully for multiple businesses. I was able to calculate the Super Bowl winner the year before last and Trump becoming president, all using this science.
Ooh, see, this is why the timing had to be right. And I know I was as I was getting started with the show and I was excited about thinking what direction, and I realized, Lisa, I actually had to grow, and I knew this, I could feel it. I said this show is morphing into its own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to be able to grow with it, or it's going to leave me, meaning it may be in a relationship with someone else that can do the job.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I'm serious. This is how I conceptualize it. I can be funny about it, but didn't realize, because they see Lisa just pumping, I'm pumping it out, going strong. But I could feel it. I don't know if anyone saw it, but I literally could feel the show evolving into something more than what we see in the world of real estate on HGTV, Flip That House, and all
Right.
these other things. What we have been aiming is to share things from this perspective. Come on now, no one's talking about real estate and numbers of real estate,
Not at
And
all.
if they are, they don't have the person that owns the website.
Numbers in real estate. That's the name of my company, actually.
Right. And so yeah, so it's so exciting, and I'm gonna keep saying exciting because this is my arena. Like, I get to play in this. This is where I play, and I could share countless, so many stories of people that I've worked with, and it's this unspoken. Do you find that more people are actually into numbers than we're actually talking about?
Oh yeah, yeah. I found people are very perceptive. Usually a lot of people I work with, I'll do a reading for them. Just TP. I don't charge them anything. I just like doing it, and I never get negative feedback. It's always, "Wow, I got this, I got that issue. Can you?" And I end up helping out a lot of people, and I've kind of became somewhat of a coach just by default because I'm able to look into your cycles and tell you what's coming up. And I'm not predicting the future. It's like
Right.
the doctor said you're going to ovulate this time and this time, that's the best time to try to conceive. However, if you're not having intercourse during that time, you're not likely to succeed unless your name is Mary. So we don't expect you to have a baby without some type of intercourse going on here. But we
Right.
know it's the best time to do it. So it's no different. If I was to plant corn at a certain time and tell you when it up. I'm not a psychic. I understand the cycle of a corn and what it takes for it to grow. So that's all we're doing. We're looking at patterns or cycles, and we can calculate it with math.
And that is consistent, because as we like to share, I've openly shared for people to know that there's a fiscal year and then there's your year, right? Your
Mhm.
personal year, your cycle. And you and I, in our circle, in our community, people are in tune with that, knowing that be careful of you celebrating or jumping on the cycle. That's not your cycle.
That's right. That's right.
That's not your time. I was reading on your website, and I just want to quote this. Was it Ecclesiastes 3:2? You're
Yes.
talking that there's a time and a season for everything, and we go back to when people like to say it a lot, and albeit whatever your spiritual perspective is, um, that it is scientific that you reap what you sow.
Yes.
That's
Ab-
science, y'all. That's science. We're
yeah.
out here doing farmer work. You farming. You're a farmer. You're either gardener or you're a planter.
That's right. Absolutely. And the Bible talks things instead of cycles, it calls it seasons, but it's the same.
Mm.
The Bible has a whole chapter called Numbers. The Bible talks about
It
reaping.
does.
Oh, yes, so it's all there. The Bible is heavily encoded in numerology, and the architects of the Bible did know numerology.
Right. See, and this is why I can appreciate it because it's so funny. California State Exam, for some reason, they want us to know how to convert feet into feet into acres. And we remember this number that I've never actually used. I have had to know what the conversion is. And I've never had to use this conversion, which I think is funny because it goes back to the significance of numbers. The
Mm,
significance of numbers. I have a client right now that is we're dealing with a case that involves a deed fraud, and we are going to push her ownership position based on her not signing document n-
wow.
number. We
Right.
we can't get away from it,
You
and
can't.
you can't. So, like I said, I was when we finally got together and coordinated this. I was so excited because I said I definitely that shared that let me know I was ready. The show was ready. It was time to bring Kevin on the show.
Absolutely.
And you have been such a beautiful spirit and a joy to connect with. Even when I first connected with you, then you are giving, you are that. So I just want to honor you and say that you truly do just give. Most people
Thank you.
charge for this level of just a level of understanding that really gives some clarification, some guidance, and some confirmation. And that for me is huge because we I go back to saying this like there's no reason to guess in life. There's no
Right.
reason.
That's right.
There's no reason to guess in life. And I share an affirmation that says I have access to everything that I need.
Mm,
And when I command that and I use that, it becomes that more clear of how much tools and resources I have. And the universe is constantly communicating that to me. And we know, I think at this point, it's funny. I don't know if you've read the Celestine Prophecy, but it's funny because it was written in 1993, and he talked about how there's going to be this next wave, and it's talking about this what we call this new age of thinking, more people waking up, more
hmm
people paying attention. And we've seen that over through the course of social media, how many people are screenshotting 1111 and 333s and the triple digits and the vibrations of the number, and people now paying more attention to these things. That book actually talks about that nothing in life is a coincidence, and it's all in connection, leading you to the next and the next and the next, which is why in my business, I share I'm a conduit for this,
hmm
right?
Absolutely.
Speaking of business, let's segue into the fun part of the legality stuff.
Okay.
Legal dealings. Share with us just kind of the opportunities that you've created for yourself in dealing with titles, especially in our business. We know that without a clear title, can't get through. People know how to strategically cloud titles, and I'll explain that for those of you who are in our listening audience. That clouding of titles when there is a lien recorded or something recorded against the property, thereby affecting the ability to transfer it to a new ownership. Cannot transfer title unless you clear those conditions that have been recorded against it. For example, I've covered this on a past episode. For those of you who are new and welcome to our season 5, do know that child support shows up, spousal support shows up,
Yes.
IRS liens shows up. Come on, Kevin. This is your arena. What else shows up?
Absolutely. You can have a materialman's lien if somebody does work on your property and you don't pay them. That can become a lien. Any judgments for anything really. Any creditor can put a lien against your property if you own that property.
Yeah, yeah. So with that being in mind, how are you working through this?
So yeah, so my whole interaction with the real estate, it started in '03, '05 actually, working at a title company, and I basically started answering the telephones. I mean, they used to call me the manutary. It was almost like a joke, but I was very ambitious. On my part time, I would during my lunch break, I would sit with a closer, and I learned how to do closings, and then that morphed into me learning how to read title, and then I ended up at another law just straight clearing title. So then I found out all the little things that we have to do to make sure that a title is clear and marketable. And
Mm,
now I'm in a position where I'm clearing title, but I'm working with a lot of investors. So I see these investors in particular in Atlanta. Georgia is where I'm licensed at. So I can't speak so much for others because this is the only state that I'm very familiar with. But I notice people are buying these properties and they're having a whole bunch of liens on them, like tax liens, water liens, judgments, prior
mm.
security deeds. And so now I'm having to go in and clear this stuff up. And one of the issues that I see is that these investors are buying these properties from somebody with a deed, and it's the title is completely clouded, and then they turn around and try to flip it or sell it, but the amount that they sell it for is less than what it costs to clear the title.
Oh,
So yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So really what they should be doing is running title and seeing what's on title and what to clear it before putting it on the market. And that would alleviate you being into a situation like I had one person selling a house for 70,000, but they had $100,000 in debt on it. So I mean, clearly you can't do that. It doesn't make sense.
I'm glad to hear that Georgia or ATL or someone as a professional like yourself is doing that. I train agents on front loading their deals, and that's what we call front loading. I front load sellers and I front load the buyer. And essentially it's what you say, because if you put a property on the market only to find out when your title team says, hey, these are the open liens on the property, and you get in escrow, you don't even have enough money in the deal to make a check.
Yep.
So you
Yeah,
just wasted everybody's time.
that's right.
And so I'm glad that you're doing that and you're sharing that. And for those of you who are listening, again, if you need a real estate professional, a team, because he works with investors, he's working with those scenarios and having that legal background, gives him definitely that advantage over most people who are not familiar. Again, it brings me back to, again, I keep seeing, real estate is one of those things. You need an awesome real estate attorney. You need to be very diligent with reading contracts.
Hmm.
And for some reason, those are the biggest challenges. That's one of the things that creates challenges in deals. Albeit you're not properly reading a pre-approval or a desktop underwriting report, or you're not reading the contract correctly. When you are missing the flags, per se, that's when you have these snowball situations and chaos is created. And then people wonder, well, why didn't you know? Why didn't it happen? It's like, no one's reading.
Right. And real estate is very compartmentalized. So a lot of times agents, they just know this. They don't know that. Like a lot of agents don't even know how to read a settlement statement. And because I have a background in the legal aspect, doing closings, pre-closings, title, post-closing, I did that about 9 years prior to me becoming a licensed agent. Knew how to do that. It was like second nature. So I have an advantage over certain agents, particularly a lot of new agents and even some seasoned agents. They don't know that stuff. They go to the attorney and have them explain it. But I know myself, and that's an advantage that my clients get by dealing with me.
That's awesome. And I would agree with that. Actually, my first foot into real estate was as a notary public. You can't get to the finish line without getting through me.
That's right. I'm a
And
notary too.
yeah, so right. So you can't get to the finish line without getting through me. And you're right. My level of comfortability came from me having to print the documents, look at what I'm reading, understanding. I may not be clear of the terms of the deal, but I knew what was required to get through the deal. And I knew what signatures were required, where were they required. It's so funny because I tie this back to numbers. Why? Because when we witness a signature, right?
Yeah,
When I'm I have to put the time and the date in my book
that's
of
right.
when the signature happened. Again,
That's right.
can't get away from it. Can't get away from
You can't escape it. And I
it.
want to give you advice real quick on your client that you said has a deal, has a possible court case coming up.
Yes,
Look at her birthday, and you know how to look at her numbers for the month and for the day. Remember, I showed you, and if not, just call me offline. I'll give you the rundown again. But on her actual court date, we can look and see days are more favorable. And I've actually used this when I went to take my real estate license. I picked a day that it said I would be lucky, and I swear I was guessing on like half of the questions. I still I knew a lot of it because the verbiage I was used to, but it can be very difficult. But I actually had a birthday on August 27th today. And so a coworker of mine, it was her birthday, and my number said today is going to be a lucky day. So I got a couple of scratch offs. I got two for me and two for her because it was her birthday. So I said today is our lucky day because we're in the same cycle. And
right,
I gave her $2. Each ticket was like $2, and mine was like, so I think I spent piece basically. And I won $5 and she won $17. It's not much, but it was still like, wow, I don't normally win anything on any day, but I
right.
to win and she did too. And it was like, okay, that's pretty cool.
So your birthday was the 27th yesterday?
Of August. Yeah, absolutely. My birthday was
Oh, look at you play too much. You see the time, and then I schedule you on the eve, in the energy of your birthday. So it was your time.
oh yeah.
This was your time, your season to get out here. And I know when we spoke offline, you said, yeah, I love to connect and share. This is what I'm involved in. And, just, I remember when we spoke, we were both in a newness. We were both stepping into something new.
Yeah.
Now that has blossomed. I know seeing the fruits of that labor. You just you can't get away in terms of the timing of everything. And you're right. It's funny because I have something important to do as well, and I have to pick a date. And you're right. So I need to definitely pull my energies and pull my numbers. I got to make
Yes.
sure I'm on the right. Give me the maximize my opportunities, my winning
Absolutely.
opportunities.
It's very practical and that's why I like it. And I use it. I mean, I was able to predict. You wouldn't believe me if I told you. It's just amazing. And when I have meetings and business meetings and different things, I always take time to look at my numbers. Even for this show today, if my numbers hadn't aligned up, I would have been like, "I'm sorry, I can't do it today. Today is not
Right,
a good day." So it gives me a one up. It gives me an advantage. And again, this science is here to learn it.
right. I want to ask this question just because someone might be thinking it. And I know if you're just tuning in and you're catching us, I'm on with Kevin Dolby, real estate professional based out in Georgia, in ATL. And we're talking about numbers in real estate and just really how it's something that is intertwined in every aspect of our lives. And so, as Kevin shared with us, that you were exploring this from a perspective of trying to disprove it.
Yes.
So the question I have is, now that you have time and time again, it's lined up, it's lined up, it's lined up. Do you find, do you feel like it inhibits you from doing stuff? Like you said, for instance, if the show didn't line, if the numbers didn't line up to do the show today, you wouldn't have done it. Do you find like it maybe hinders you from things, or share your perspective of that?
Right. Yeah, that's a very good question. And I believe it actually, because it helps me to organize, and to it saves me time, because now
Mm,
I can kind of organize based on my numbers. I know what days are best for me to do what. There are certain days when you're going to be a better communicator. It is what it is. I mean, everybody knows they wake up some days and it's like, I don't want to talk to nobody. If I
right,
look at your numbers for that day, say that it would probably be a 7 day or whatever. But point is, we all go through these cycles. Whether you believe in numerology, study it, practice it or not, you're going to have your off days. You're going to have your on days. But the advantage is knowing when your on days are on and knowing when your off days are off. Then you can take advantage, which ultimately saves you time, because you don't want a janky interview because today was an off day when you could have just waited one day and then had an awesome interview. It
right.
makes sense.
That yeah, and that makes sense. And I love to say when if it makes sense, it make dollars.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was thinking about that because sometimes people make. I haven't met anyone actually that maybe comes off like that. I think, and I just really wanted to hear your perspective because for me, yeah, if it doesn't align up, I'm a path of least resistance person. I've intentionally started doing this from December last year. It's not something that I've always, it's recently new to me. Path of least resistance means for me, I'm not fighting upstream. I'm just, if it's lined up, it's in the flow.
That's
The
right.
universe loves me. It wants to give me, wants to bless me. It wants to work with me, but I've got to work with it.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I just wanted to share that out loud for some people that are thinking that, those who they may think that there are some extremists in that instance, but not necessarily because you said it perfectly that you're going to have some on days and some off days. Why not give yourself the advantage of when is the best time?
That's right. That's right. And I actually told 7 different people that I know that they were going to jail either a specific day, a month, or a specific year, and it all happened based on their numbers. And I told them, like, hey, you need to be careful. This is, not the time to take any risk. And, it just happened. And, you know, some people say, well, could they really have avoided it? Is it fate? And I say, yeah. I mean, you're going to go through certain, it's a part, but how you deal with those things and the level of which you go through them is determined by your actions. We all have the ability to make a choice, but
Yes,
there are certain lessons that you are here to learn. So there will be things you will have to experience, but you can experience them extremely hard or a little bit easier if you are in tune with your cycles.
right. Something, so many things came up as I was just listening to you, and I'm thinking of real estate. There's so many things in what we do that involves numbers. It's not even, it's ridiculous. I just finished a workshop on learning, really understanding mortgages. And you discussed about the 7 years, after 7 years, things fall off your credit. I'm one that definitely utilized that in my life because when the market went bust, yes, so did parts of my life. And instead of me saying I'm going to pay stuff, I was like, yo, I got to be strategic with this.
Right.
And allowed myself to start over, actually, just utilizing that. But one of the things that I want to share for people who are listening, with each loan product, there is a time frame in which they will consider you after derogatory items have reached a expiration life, if you will. For instance, short sales. If you short sale the property, if you were in that market or in an area where the property value went down, you owe more than what it was worth, and you sold the home for less than, and that's a short sale. Um, they would there are different loan products that will consider you after 5 years and 3 years.
Mhm.
You can get back into the market, you can re-enter the market. And I think that's important because without numbers, those are our guidelines. Those are our boundaries. We deal with it constantly in real estate. People say, oh, I have a bankruptcy. Well, do you know, depending which chapter bankruptcy you file, you can get back into, you can be a homeowner after 2 years.
Right.
Like there's so many. I'm seriously, I'm sitting here thinking like, geez, like the numbers in my mind when I'm consulting with people is always like, oh, how long have you been on your job? Do you know you can actually buy a property 6 months after your job, you started employment?
Hmm.
Does that make sense if I say 6 months and then, I mean, that's what's funny. Who's coming up with the timelines? They're giving us the timelines for the industry. They
Exactly.
said 6 months after the 6 months of employment, you can purchase property, or we want 2 years of work history, right?
Right.
We want 30 days of pay stubs. We
Right.
need 3 months of bank statements. Why not 10 months? Why not
Right.
eight? I don't know. Like
Right. To get self-employed, they want 2 years tax returns.
they want 2 years tax returns, self-employed. They want 2 years tax returns, right?
That's right.
Seed money like gift down payment. If it's coming from another source,
Yep.
they want 1 month's bank statement or 30 days, right? If it's from you, it's got to be seasoned in your account for 60 days. Like, who's coming up with these rules?
That's a good question. I don't know who's coming up with them, but I think it's a combination of different things, of series of um like tests that they run to kind of get the average of this, the average of that, see this, see that, and then maybe they just pull the rest out of the air, or maybe they have a numerologist in the back figuring it out. I don't know.
It's so funny because I was going to say the law of averages. You hear that a lot, right? Because with self-employed tax returns, 2 years, they're averaging out your income.
That's right.
Uh, and so this is something. I said it, to those who were hearing me just kind of share snippets and previewing that the Today Show is going to make you look at real estate in a very, very different way.
Mhm.
I just want to say to y'all, welcome to my world. It's I, I definitely am tuning into real estate in a different way than most people, but it's what makes it exciting, is being able to put those things into perspective and really know that, like you said, Kevin, we're intuitively connecting with our external world.
Right.
Where this is, call it your intuition or instinct or whatever, but we're just connecting with our external world. As we get ready to wrap up, I want to be mindful of your time and thank you really for just sharing your time with me.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for having me again.
Yeah. So, is there anything that you want to share that's new with you? Let me just kind of. I actually give out your website. I had it plugged in here for those who are viewing, but for our listening audience, what's the best way to connect with you and learn more about you and how you can help and assist them with selling and buying real estate?
Oh yeah, you can go to my website. It's my name, Kevin Dolby. That's D as in David, O-L, B as in boy, Y as in yellow, just like the stereo, Kevin Dolby .com. You can go to numbersandrealestate.com, numbers with an S, Tyraine.com. I have a few websites, but I'm Googleable. You can find me.
Right. And that's, it's so funny because here's what I found. And for those who are listening and you're an entrepreneur, you're a real estate professional, and or you're just looking to learn how to market yourself, what fascinates me right now is that through radio podcasting is a phenomenal hack right now to be on the first page of Google. Why? Because Google likes fresh content.
Yes.
And so it is crawling for your uploads. And me uploading this, Kevin's going to be up top. Lisa's going to be up top.
Right.
Super agent and numbers in real estate, ready say real estate. And I share that because Kevin shared something very important, being Googleable. Your clients, your customers are looking for you on social media more so than going directly to a website unless you give them a site. But
Right.
they're looking for you on social media. And so I just want to remind you all that I've done trainings on how to podcast, just had one. You can now definitely get access rented. I think for a limited time, it's $9.99, or you can buy the entire, course. It's not a course, y'all. It's not really that deep, but it's literally for, I think, for 60 minutes. I show you how to set up your own podcast and some tips and tools in doing that. So I just want to just share with people, and Kevin, to let you know that this really adds to it. So I'm really glad that you came on, because it adds to your marketing as well. And this is what the show is about. It's about cross promoting and featuring our industry colleagues, especially because uh, we know many people doing amazing things, but you're not going to see that on mainstream TV.
Right. Absolutely. And
And
oh, go ahead. I'm
I was
sorry.
going to say, and so with the beauty of all these platforms and these funnels and these systems, we get to create our own. So why not?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I did want to touch on the numbers and the addresses for homes. I think,
Please,
yeah,
look, I will keep you on here forever, but I've just been mindful of your time.
I know that's right. I'm good. Started off talking about that where you and your friend had went into a home and you could kind of feel the energy and say, hey, this isn't for me. But on a different level, you can look at the address of a home and kind of gauge the energy of the home based on the number. So any number of a home, what you would do is you would break it down to a single digit. So for instance, if the number was, you know, 3001, you would add 3 plus 0 plus 1, which would give you 4. So then you would say, okay, this house frequency is a 4, and 4 represents the builder, foundation, stability. So, if you get that home, you'll probably be stable. You'll probably be there for a while. It'll be a foundation. You may do a lot of work from in the home because 4 also represents work. If you have a business, 8 represents business and money and power. So, you can have a number 8 property, then you're going to see a business probably going to be run out of that home. And I've checked out quite a few addresses, and I've started to
But
see.
hold on, let me do one real quick. Hold on, let me say, let me
Right.
see.
If your
Wait,
address adds up to a 5, there'll probably be a lot of change in that house. It may move a lot. It may have a lot of different people moving there and moving out.
I have
Or
10, I have 10, which is one.
1. Okay, and 10 is a lucky number actually. So but 1 is like the inventor, the creator. So it's also the masculine energy. So those are going to be some of the aspects that you'll see just being a place that has a dominant quality to it, and being able to create something there and build something new, something innovative, if you can come out of that property because of that one energy. But there's also something that has to do with your birthday and the frequency of the house. So some houses aren't good for you based on your birthday. And there's a whole science to that. And we'll have time to go into all of that, but it can get really, really deep. And I think going back to the story that you told at the you and your friend, if I was to look at maybe her birthday, your birthday, and the frequency of the house, there may have been some things going on there, which is why y'all didn't feel comfortable in that house. But it could have been some other things as well, because that's not the only thing that happens in this world or in this universe.
Right. Wow. Wow. Shout out to Antoine. Hey, thanks for tuning in. I wow. See, now I want to do a part two, because this is it's so funny, because sometimes people tell me, Lisa, your guest was just getting started when and it works out that way. That means you got to tune in for next time, you know. But yes, you see why this guy, I patiently waited, because there is, I'm gonna go back and listen to the show and memorize what you said when we first started, by the way.
Oh, I
I'm going
got you.
I'm going to memorize that so I can teach my 8-year-old. So I can teach my son. Could you imagine? As a matter of fact, we were just kind of stuck on rounding numbers. He knows how to round tens, but he's working on rounding up to 100. And I don't fight over homework. I said, nope, we're just going to let your teacher know you have some challenges and you need a little extra time to
Right.
go back over that. And I say that because I'm not going to be around him. His support team is not always going to be around him when it's him in the classroom. We can give him the answers, but he's not going to get it. So he's got to be able to come up with the answers and learn how to figure that out in the environment that is teaching him certain levels of techniques, right? Because this whole math is different. Even with that, I'm concerned about that. The math is being taught differently.
Yes, it really is. And both of my kids, my children are 9 and 6, and I'm teaching both of them numerology, and they are like, they both of them have like A's in math. They're really good in math. And I really believe it's helped because they're able to look at numbers a little more than just a number. They know that it has an actual meaning to it, and that helps them to actually remember numbers.
Right. I was thinking, I was in a place before where I am now, and I had a horrible experience living there.
Hmm.
So we're gonna have to talk out loud because I just want to see how the number and my birthday, it clearly would probably say, yeah,
Yep.
if you had someone telling you don't do it,
Right. That's
don't
right.
do it. I had a horrible experience living there.
Wow.
I survived living there, and it's funny because it's even I don't pass around the area even if I'm near it. It triggers me.
Mm.
So it's just, and so I'm with you with that. This is why I can relate to homes having energy is because the blueprinting came out of the mind of someone.
Yes.
That was energy put forth,
Yes.
like the architect, right? The blueprinting, and then the power and the vibration to do the sketch. We actually pulled the original records, and it was literally like on a flimsy piece of paper. There was
Mm.
no ruler. It was like this, because there was some questions about an additional part of the home, which was grandfathered in and all this other stuff. But I say that to say that was energy, and then the builders and the people that built it.
That's right. That's right. Everything starts with a thought. And if you don't take nothing else, just remember that, you are connected to the creator, and everything starts with a thought. It's supposed to be created. And time is measured in cycles. Time is measured in cycles. It's cyclical. It goes round and round and round, not linear. If you understand those principles, on a practical level, you can take those and really run with that understanding and take advantage of time moving in cycles so that you can read into those cycles and take advantage of it and understand that you create your reality through your thoughts.
Kevin, you want to sign off on that note?
Yes, we can sign off.
That was drop the mic there. This was so good.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, this was so good. I cannot wait to download this and listen to it on the replay. I almost want to make this exclusive to our loyal supporters
Mm.
because this we gave so much gems away. But you know what? We're gonna bless the people. We'll
Right.
continue to bless the people.
That's right. And we'll do a part two. I'm definitely down to do a part two. And
Good.
maybe on part two, I can actually go into the different numbers and then the different house frequencies that correspond with those numbers. So then that way you kind of know, okay, if my birthday is this day, and I use our Vedic numerology, which is really just based on the day you, so you don't even need the whole birthday. I just need what day. If you were born on the 31st or the 14th or the 12th, then I can take that number and then look at the house number and we can go from there. So that's a very interesting science. And I don't know, maybe that's just an idea, food for thought, whatever the guests want to hear.
Done.
I love
It's done. We're doing it. We are you
that.
kidding me?
That'd be
We
great.
are doing this. We are doing this. Absolutely. Listen, you heard it here. Stay tuned. We are really going to break this down because I shared a snippet And I just wanted to be mindful with Kevin. Sometimes my guests bring so much value. I don't ever want to put them in a position where they feel obligated to offer so much because he's invested time and in himself to learn this. And so it's usually me not wanting to have my guests give y'all free game and consultations.
It's all good. I don't mind. I love to give because once you give, it comes back. Again, that's that cycle. You got to give to receive. Give first to receive. I did a whole 2 years of just giving out free readings before I would even accept any money. And it was just me giving and putting it out there to the universe. And it came back in so many different ways you wouldn't even believe it.
I do believe, and I received that because I heard that today. Someone said to me, Lisa, you are such a giver, and you are truly rare in that you really help people. And I get it. That's why you and I, like, we vibe, and like I said, it definitely was the timing of everything. I just, in my head, I was like, oh, this is episode 104. That's five, season
Right.
5, 5 o'clock. And you said it,
That's crazy.
communication. Like you were hitting it. And so I'm excited because we are going to do this. So the next one, we're going to do a part 2. We'll continue this
Yes.
because I feel like, do you maybe want to do a screen share or PowerPoint? And if you want, we can do this on this platform, which is pretty cool. So we can do
Okay.
that.
That sounds great.
Listen, y'all, this just happened. We're going to take this numbers in real estate to the next level. We're getting thumbs up. Thank you for those of you who are tuning in. We're getting ready to end, on here with Kevin Tyraine Dolby out in ATL Real Estate Professional. Check them out at kevindolby.com. If you just tuned in, please go back and listen to the replay. Make sure you hashtag replay. That way you let us know that you're on, and we'd love to come back and chime in and just continue and engage in this conversation because this, for me, as I said, I didn't make the promise, but now I should have made a promise. I knew it. I said, you'll never look at real estate the same way again after today.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, this was awesome. Kevin, I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you too. You're doing a great job. I love your platform and just the energy you. It's fresh and it's needed. We need this because real estate can be a little dull, and why not liven it up and show all the aspects of real estate and just tie in everything because everything is connected. Nothing is separated. We're all connected. We're all human beings, and we need to love each other and treat each other with respect and honor the earth. So much I could say. You don't want to pollute the earth, and I don't want to stand on a soapbox here, but let's just treat the earth with as much respect as we treat each other and understand real estate is about the land and about the earth and about cultivating the land and the earth and making it inhabitable for us so we can live healthy, comfortable lives and raise the rest of our rest of the people and humanity and just helping people and all of the above, man. All of the
All of the above, as above, so below,
below.
as within, so without.
Absolutely.
With that being said, thank you, thank you, thank you, you guys. Make sure you subscribe to the radio podcast everywhere. Check us out. Keyword Ready Set Real Estate on your favorite podcast. And we're on youtube.com/LA Super Agent. You want to definitely catch up with the past shows and see what we're doing. Again, this show supports Real Estate 100 youth. We teach kids real estate terms, concepts, and careers as an alternate pathway to success. We break it down for the minds of babes because you too are new to this.
All right.
All
Peace.
right.